Hello and welcome. Today we're going to look at Wabano's model of care and specifically look at 3 examples of tools that Wabano has developed that beautifully illustrate how you as a new staff can start to use the model of care in your work. And the 3 examples we're going to go through are number 1, our FASD poster series. Number 2 is our parenting bundles. It's an entire facilitator's guide. And number 3 is our youth March break camp with a youth video. So just to remind you, Wabano's model of care, our elders say it always starts with the circle. And there is no beginning and no end into which we all belong. There is nobody that is any better or any worse in this circle. We are all equal. We are different, but we are all equal. And so each of these components come together in an inclusive model that help you do the work here at Wabano. And how do you do work at Wabano? With always having culture at the heart of what you do. Culture isn't a piece of what we do here at Wabano, it is the very essence and foundation and goes into absolutely everything. So example number 1, our FASD posters. So if you take in the teachings that our elders give us, which is that culture is day-to-day good living, that means that good living means the good life and speaking the good words and being of a good mind. And so when you're dealing with things like fetal alcohol spectrum disorder, FASD, that can become a very dark topic, can become very shaming. I'm sure that you've seen out there in the world these black posters where it says, it takes only once, it can happen to you. There's this fetus in a glass of alcohol, or a mother that's shamed, pregnant, and holding her head down. What about that is day-to-day good living? What about that shows us our beauty as people and knowing that we have the capacity to live our best lives, to live the good life? So when we looked at this at Wabano, we knew we needed to look at it a different way. We knew we needed to get at addictions. We know that our people, because of residential school, because of the 60s scoop, and if you don't know about these 2 things, if this is the first you're hearing of them, I strongly encourage you to go and look at the amount of resources that are out there. You can Google it. There are many books that you can look at to learn more about this. It is so critical for your work. But because of residential school and the 60s scoop, we have addictions and mental health issues at levels that we've never seen before in our history. And so we have to look at this and we have to begin to make a difference. And we can't do that the way that everybody else is doing it. We can't do it with black posters and with shame and with statistics. We must do it with culture being at the very heart of what we do. So we did this by walking with beauty. We found a poem. Well, it's actually a blessing, a Navajo blessing to be exact. And people will say to us, why Navajo blessing? What territory are you in? And the first thing we'll say at Wabano is that we are hugely diverse here in our nation's capital and certainly diverse within Wabano. We have First Nations, Inuit, Métis, Aboriginal people from around Turtle Island. So it's important that we're inclusive of these teachings. This Navajo blessing is so simple and so profound all in once. It says, I will be happy forever. Nothing will hinder me. I will walk with beauty before me. I will walk with beauty behind me, above me, below me. I walk with beauty all around me, and my words will be beautiful. So if that's what you begin with, if that's your culture that you start at the beginning, versus the shame of women, versus addictions, versus fear that it might happen, how does that change your poster? It looks like this. It says that nothing is going to hinder me. So nothing, my past, my mental health, my mental illness, my addictions are not going to hinder me. That I walk already in myself, right where I am today. I walk with beauty before me and behind me and above me. That the fact that you walk with beauty all around you means that all around you is your people, men and women, your entire community. So our message here was that women and men both play a key role in the healthy development of our children, be alcohol, drug, and smoke-free. So that little change may not seem much, but that little tweak that comes from a place of empowerment, that comes from a place of beauty, allows us to talk about an issue that is very, very serious and empower our clients to make change. So if you're a diabetes worker, if you're an HIV/AIDS worker, if you're a therapist, If you are a nurse practitioner looking at this and saying, I deal with such hard issues every single day, how do I begin? Well, you begin here with culture, right? Find that beauty, that place of belonging. So this poster starts to deal with belonging. In that black poster example, there's no place for our community to belong. This is where they belong. So we've gone through the example of how you can include belonging into education and promotion of your programs. Now we need to look at mastery. And if you remember from our model of care talk, mastery is the quadrant where we begin to take in new information, where our knowledge increases, where we can begin to make behavioral change. And for us workers, we know our funders care about this, and we know our work plans are completely surrounded by this. So how do we ensure that culture is at the heart of what we do here? The examples are example number 2, our parenting bundle. This parenting bundle was developed with us knowing and us seeing in our communities how young our communities are. 50% of the Aboriginal community are under the age of 25. And for young Aboriginal women, these are women under the age of 18, they have a 9 times higher rate of having children under this age. So we're having children at a much younger age, we're having lots of them, and so that means our population is very young. That makes us unique, and it allows for a really interesting opportunity for new information and changes in behavior. But even with this opportunity, what we were seeing was this belief that we do not know how to parent our children. There is this message out there that we've lost our parenting skills, that our children are not becoming the children that they're meant to be. And we don't believe that here at Wabano. There's no question that our communities have gone through trauma and through crises with residential schools, but what we know is that our culture has thrived, survived and thrived. And it was so important to us to reclaim those teachings that were traditionally what allowed us to raise children who were extremely focused, respectful, passionate, part of our community. So how do we regain that? So very simply, we sat with elders. We don't have that answer, but our elders certainly do. Our spirit teachers certainly do. So we asked them, what was it? How did we used to raise children that allowed us to succeed and allowed them to succeed? And boy, did they have a lot to say. We talked to elders from across the country, and what we found was this sort of commonality between them all, where they started talking about not only physical but metaphorical concept of things that we would do to take care of ourselves and things that we would pass on to our children. And we ended up choosing something called the bundle that sort of encapsulated all of these teachings and things that the elders shared with us. And the elders told us that women in particular would often have a bundle. Maybe a medicine bundle, some called it. Some called it just like a toolkit. They called it a sack. There was many different ways they talked about this. But they said that in this bundle, there were things that allowed the communities to survive. Let me give you a couple examples. First example would be that a woman might have a little knife, a little flint, something that would allow her, that if she was out in the wilderness, she could cut an umbilical cord, or she could cut meat, or she could cut plants, right? Survival. It would carry things like seeds. If there was ever drought or she was away from her community, that no matter where she could begin planting again to sustain her community. It would be metaphorical things like stories. We know that for a long time we use stories to teach our children. We teach them about how to be in the world, and we teach them really concrete things they need to stay away from, things they need to strive to be. All of those life lessons were in our stories. So that's what our elders kept coming back. We thought, oh, this would be brilliant in a book. So we've developed this parenting bundle, and this parenting bundle is divided into sections. Each one of those sections has a focus of something that we have taken a teaching from and said to our parents, if you put this in your bundle, in your parenting bundle, this will help you be not only a better parent, but will empower your children as well. So it goes into songs and medicines and seeds. Each one of those sections is a section in this book. So you can look at it, it gives you examples. Not only could you use it for yourself personally, but anyone could pick up this book and use it to facilitate a class, a group, a workshop. It gives you activities that you can do. And I can tell you that the one thing we're so proud of in this book is that this entire book is based on Aboriginal teachings, Aboriginal wisdom. All references in this book, all quotes within this book are given by Aboriginal people and are based on those teachings. So unique within our country, and we're proud of this as Wabano staff. I encourage you to find this, read it, and look for ways that you can incorporate it into your programs. So how we give information is so important, and we've looked at innovative ways we can do that using the parenting bundle, and now we need to move into interdependence. That's our relationship to one another, right? That we are interconnected, and what I do has impact on you, and what you do has impact on me. So we must give back for the benefit of the community. It doesn't matter how much we learn here. If we don't share it, it is of no use. It ends with us. So this leads us to our third example, which is all about youth. We talked about the fact that our population is very young, but in addition to that, we are living in a place where our communities are experiencing a great deal of poverty. We know in Canada that about 1 in 5 children are poor, and we know that close to triples for the Aboriginal population. In the cities in particular, about 50% of Aboriginal children are living in poverty. And we know that when you are poor, you die younger, you are sicker, it means you will not graduate school, all of your opportunities are hindered. And so once again, that feels black, and that's not a place of empowerment for us to move forward with. So we must go back to our teachings again and put culture at the heart. And so we did that with our youth. We knew we wanted to do something that was impactful. We knew we wanted to create change. We knew we wanted to have an impact on the suicide rates that we're seeing in our communities. We did this through camps. Kids sit in classrooms for a long time in the day where they sit and they have to listen, and there's no question that listening is very important, but our elders have long known that doing things experientially with our kids, where they can touch and smell and taste and be involved with things, will be the most impactful. So Wabano does this with a camp. We do a March break camp every single year. This is a 4-night, 5-day on the land camp with 50, that's right, 50 kids, ages of 7 to 18, that we bring them out in the land, regardless of weather, snow, sleet, hail, we are there. We provide them with elders. There's a sacred fire. They do Inuit games, they will do beading, they learn traditional hiking and tracking methods. It's a place where they can get out of the city and begin to experience culture in a really meaningful way. So we'd been doing this for many years, and we had to go back to our teachings, and we said, we know this is amazing. We've created a place of belonging with the camp. We're teaching them new skills. 2 thumbs up for us. How is this giving back to the community? What is that connection where what they've learned is going for the benefit of the community? Because we know, our elders tell us, that this sector here is what brings self-confidence. Build self-esteem. When you know that what you've learned can be given to someone else, that helps you know even more and solidify who you are. So that's so important with our youth. So we came up with a video idea. We knew our kids like technology. How the heck do you incorporate technology and camps? We knew there had to be a way. And so what we did is we had youth, we chose a handful of youth who were leaders in our ongoing after-school programs. Youth that were really showing that they could step up, that they wanted to be part of, they were passionate, they were smart, and they were disciplined. And so we got these kids and we asked them what they'd be interested in doing, and all of them loved taking pictures, they loved being involved with camera work, and so we partnered them. We partnered them with professionals, professional cameramen, camera women, professional sound professionals, people who knew how to take that technology field, that AV field, and engross our kids in that. So our kids learned the very basics. How do you set up a shoot? How do you worry about the sound? What's in the shot? These were all the things that they learned up to the camp. And then when they got to the camp, their job, very simple, was to video what they saw, to video the emotion that they felt, to video the sounds that they heard, and bring that back to us so we could learn. This was probably one of the most impactful videos we've seen in a while at Wabano, was the voices of our children. You know, if we think back to those life cycle teachings and how our children speak the truth and our youth challenge our common beliefs, when you give them a camera to do those 2 things together, magic really happens. So we created a beautiful video that talked about the camp. We had the same outcomes that we've always had, which is 50 kids went through the camp. They had healthy meals, they learned new behaviors and learned new skills and knowledge. But the added benefit that we had were this group of 6 amazing youth who now could be employed in the AV field. They felt proud of what they'd developed and they could present it to the community. This video is out there for you. I strongly encourage, after you've listened to this, to go and seek out that video and watch it and see the impact that culture can have on our youth. Those are our 3 examples, and it really leads us finally to the 4th quadrant. And just to remind you, this is about generosity. And generosity is, as our elder says, is looking at long-term planning into the next 7 generations. And I can tell you that if you choose to embrace these teachings that our elders say, this model that Wabano incorporates, the work that you do here every day, no matter if it seems small, no matter if it's the biggest thing you've ever done, you will be being generous because you will be having impact the next 7 generations. Miigwech.